In the heart of North Korea, hidden from the world's prying eyes, lies a place so brutal and inhumane, it's been dubbed the world's worst jail. This chilling location is none other than the Hworyong concentration camp, colloquially known as Camp 22. Its walls house shocking tales of human rights abuses, a grim reality far removed from our daily lives. As we delve deeper into this gruesome narrative, brace yourself for unsettling revelations about the horrifying conditions within these prison walls. Welcome to the horrifying reality of Camp 22. Camp 22's history is as dark as its reputation. Born in the year 1965, this infamous prison camp, also known as Hworyong concentration camp, is nestled in the secluded corners of North Korea. Its creation was part of a broader strategy to suppress any form of dissent against the ruling regime, a tactic that continues to this day. The 70s and 80s witnessed a significant shift in Camp 22's function. It became a destination for political prisoners, those who dared to question the authority of the ruling regime. The camp's population swelled, reaching an estimated 50,000 prisoners at its peak. The world outside remained largely oblivious to the atrocities unfolding behind its fortified walls. But beneath the surface of this seemingly routine prison operation, a much darker narrative was taking shape. Allegations of human rights abuses began to seep out from the camp's iron grip. Stories of forced labor, torture, and even human experimentation painted a grim picture of life in Camp 22. These horrifying tales were whispered by defectors and former prisoners, their voices trembling with the weight of their experiences. Despite these chilling testimonies, a shroud of secrecy has always hung over Camp 22. The North Korean regime has consistently denied the existence of political prison camps, and access to these sites has been strictly controlled. This lack of transparency has only fueled the international community's concerns about the camp's operations and the treatment of its prisoners. Yet amidst the secrecy and denial, one thing remains clear. Camp 22 was a place of immense suffering. It was a place where basic human rights were trampled underfoot, where the sanctity of human life was routinely disregarded. It was a place that bore witness to some of the darkest chapters of human history. A fortress of despair, Camp 22 was an abyss from which few could hope to escape. As we delve deeper into its haunting past, let us remember the countless lives that were irrevocably marked by their time within its oppressive walls. Inside the walls of Camp 22, a living nightmare unfolded for its inmates. The world outside was a distant memory, replaced by the harsh reality that was life within the camp. The living conditions were brutal to say the least. Inmates were crammed into tiny, squalid cells with barely enough room to sit, let alone stand or lie down. The stench of human suffering was palpable, seeping into every crack and crevice. Food was scarce, with inmates fighting over scraps that barely sustained them. Malnutrition was rampant, reducing once robust individuals to mere skin and bones. The treatment of the prisoners was even more horrific. Beatings were a daily occurrence, administered for the slightest perceived infraction. The guards wielded their authority with a cruel, sadistic pleasure, their laughter echoing through the corridors as they meted out punishment. The prisoners were not seen as human beings but as objects to be used and discarded at will. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of life inside Camp 22 was the alleged human experimentation. Survivor testimonies speak of a place called the hospital, a misnomer if there ever was one. Here, inmates were subjected to chemical and biological tests, their bodies used as mere vessels for the camp's nefarious purposes. The screams that emanated from this place of terror were enough to chill the blood, a constant reminder of the hell that was life inside the camp. Yet, amidst the darkness, there were glimmers of hope. Inmates formed bonds, their shared suffering creating a sense of camaraderie. They sang songs in hushed whispers, their voices a beacon of hope in the oppressive gloom. They resisted in small ways, clinging onto their humanity in the face of unrelenting cruelty. In the face of unimaginable cruelty, the human spirit was tested to its limits. But as we will see, it was not a test that was easily passed. This was life inside Camp 22, a testament to the darkest corners of human nature and the indomitable resilience of the human spirit. The world, for the most part, turned a blind eye to the atrocities of Camp 22. In the grand theater of global politics, the curtain of silence was often drawn on the ghastly tales unfolding within the barbed perimeters of Camp 22. The cries for justice and humanity were drowned in the cacophony of diplomatic maneuvers and political expediencies. The international community, with its complex web of interests and alliances, found itself entangled in a paradox of inaction. It was a dance of diplomacy where the music often drowned out the desperate pleas for help. However, amidst this symphony of silence there were those who dared to speak up. The non-governmental organizations, the unsung heroes of our times, were relentless in their pursuit of truth. They were the beacon of hope in a world that seemed content to look away. Groups like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch tirelessly campaigned to bring the plight of Camp 22 inmates to the forefront. Their reports, filled with heart-wrenching testimonies and damning evidence, were a stark reminder of the horrors that lay far beyond our comfortable lives. The United Nations, the world's conscience keeper, also played a significant role in shedding light on the situation. The UN's Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in North Korea, in its landmark report, unequivocally condemned the atrocities committed in Camp 22. Yet, North Korea, in its characteristic defiance, continued to deny the existence of the camp. It was a tragic game of smoke and mirrors, where the truth was often obscured by a veil of deception and denial. The world watched, often in disbelief, as the horrors of Camp 22 unfolded. Protests were held, sanctions were imposed, and resolutions were passed. Yet, the wheels of justice turned agonizingly slow. Despite the world's outrage, the horrors of Camp 22 remained largely unchecked. The story of Camp 22 is a stark reminder of the collective failure of humanity. It's a testament to the fact that the world's reaction, however loud, is often not enough. It's a call to action for all of us, to ensure that such atrocities are never again allowed to stain the pages of our shared history. Today the fate of Camp 22 is shrouded in mystery. Unconfirmed reports suggest that this notorious prison camp, once a grim reminder of the darkest corners of human rights abuses, was shut down in 2012. However, the truth remains elusive, obscured by the thick veil of secrecy that North Korea has always maintained. This closure, if it indeed occurred, raises more questions than it answers. Where did the prisoners go? What became of them? Were they transferred to other camps? Or did they meet a more tragic end? These questions continue to haunt the international community, echoing in the silence of North Korea's non-disclosure. The uncertainty surrounding Camp 22's current status is a testament to the challenges that the world faces in dealing with North Korea. The country's ironclad control over information and its unyielding stance on its human rights record present significant hurdles to any attempts at verification or intervention. This ongoing debate about North Korea's human rights record has caused ripples in global politics. Some argue that the situation calls for more stringent sanctions and international pressure. Others advocate for a more diplomatic approach, suggesting that engagement and dialogue could lead to reform. Yet in the face of North Korea's consistent denial of any wrongdoing, these debates often end in a stalemate, a frustrating cycle of accusation and denial. Despite this, the international community remains committed to uncovering the truth and advocating for change. Human rights organizations and activists continue to collect testimonies, compile evidence, and push for accountability. They hope that their efforts will shed light on the hidden corners of North Korea's prison system and bring justice to those who have suffered. Camp 22, once a symbol of the worst of human rights abuses, now stands as a symbol of a different sort. It is a symbol of the world's struggle for truth, for justice, and for human dignity in the face of oppressive regimes. Camp 22, a grim symbol of human rights abuses, continues to cast a long shadow. The story of Camp 22 is a chilling reminder of the depths of human cruelty. It stands as a ghastly monument in the annals of history, showcasing the extreme lengths that man can go when fueled by hate, fear, and power. In the dark recesses of this camp, we have seen a grim tapestry of human suffering unfold, from its sinister origins to the terrifying reality of life within its walls. We've delved into the world's reaction, a mixture of shock, disbelief, and shame, and explored the current state of this haunting symbol of human rights abuses. But in the face of such overwhelming darkness, it's crucial to remember, we are the torchbearers of history. It's our responsibility to keep the memory of these atrocities alive, to ensure they are not forgotten, swept under the carpet of time. By acknowledging these horrors, we take a stand against the repetition of such events in the future. The tale of Camp 22 serves as a stark reminder that we must strive for a world where respect for human rights isn't an exception, but the rule. It pushes us to challenge and question, to demand transparency, justice, and accountability from those in power. As we bear witness to the horrors of Camp 22, let us strive for a world where such atrocities are a thing of the past.